Chapter.
We are recording. Don't say anything bad about me, okay?
Thanks, Fred.
Okay. Let's just go through here a little bit and take a look. Well, first of all, let me find the actual 1 through 5. This is the document that you sent over, the quarterly progress report, and starting down here at domain 1, community resilience, then getting down to the services, goals, and objectives. And as I went through, and by the way, okay, you obviously knew a lot more about this than was in the document because you had some different levels in there of things that were in there, which is great, being able to do that. But this is the document you sent over. So when I go back into the system here, we start out at the domain of community resilience up here on the top. And then underneath there, the goal was to promote community resilience and readiness response. I think that was something you added in there. Is that correct, King? Yeah, okay. And then we have the objective 1.1.1 is participate in quarterly one-on-one meetings, other state programmatic input initiatives here. The objectives, and she assigned herself to it. I like that. Okay. Notes in here, FEP work group meetings, maybe use substitute for one-on-ones. That's great. Then the activities. Now, where did you come up with the activities? They obviously weren't in the document that you sent.
I can't get off mute. Am I off mute?
Yep.
Okay, so my activities is based on what I did last year for those and what I want to do this year for those. So basically it was just an activity of how I was going to obtain that.
Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing. Now, I noticed you did go in and assign some of the traffic lights as reds and greens. What was your thought process on doing that?
I didn't know what I was doing there.
Okay.
Not because I hadn't done anything yet. I needed to move them to red, but then I learned later on that as you put in your values, they'll automatically change. And so I really kind of think I screwed that up, actually.
No, let's talk about that a little bit here. First of all, there's one type of activity, this QA activity that you have, this one down here, is the only type of activity that will automatically set the traffic light for you. And it's based on the values that you put in there. So you had a green, if it's greater than or equal to 1, it's green. If it's less than or equal to 0, then it's going to be red. And obviously can't be between 0 and 1 in here. So it's going to be yellow. So it'll either be red or green. So in this case, the value is 1. So it's just saying it was red. But here's typically what the traffic lights indicate. It doesn't mean whether you've done anything or not. It's what is the plan. So if the plan is to promote community resilience and readiness response at the goal level here, and you have an objective that says participate in quarterly one-on-one meetings and any other state programmatic input initiatives, the question then comes, have you done that? Or are you in the process of doing that? And if in fact you're on track with doing that, that means that you are green. Now, let's say because of COVID, you weren't able to have those meetings in there. Then it could be, potentially a yellow or even a red in there, depending on what you're going to put down here in the notes. So maybe a yellow would be, we're going to have to skip this meeting. We'll make it up in the next meeting or something along that line. Red would be, we don't know how long COVID's going to last. We don't have the resources to do this. We're going to mark it as red, put a note in there that just says, hey, we're going to have to get back to this when we can, something along that line. So that would be the kind of the traffic lights in there. Most often, if things are moving along as you'd expect, you're going to be green on pretty much everything. When you get to yellows, that's just to indicate to people that there's something going on. Typically, you're going to go look at the notes field and see what's going on in there to make it a yellow in there. And then, like I said, the only activity when you use the QA activity, which is that repetitive activity, is when the traffic light's going to be set automatically for you. So if you're on track, like this QA activity, when you did the status of one meeting, in here it's set to green, and that's right, because you did do the meeting that you thought. Now, if you had that set as a target of, say, 5 meetings, and you are at 3 meetings, it's going to be yellow in there, indicating that you're not quite to that target yet. So, and by the way, that's just kind of the default for the traffic lights. Some people like to, for specific plans, even make the traffic lights mean something unique to them so that you can easily track it when you're looking at the dashboard or something along that line. So I typically, I would assume that if you're on track with things, make them green. If things are sliding behind schedule and there's some rationale behind it, mark it as yellow, or if it's going to be, dead to the world, maybe make it as red and indicate why. And typically always you're going to put in a note in the notes field as to why you changed the traffic light. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you can basically monitor your own traffic light on the project activity and the quantitative one.
Right. Yeah. Project and quantitative activities are manually set. Other than if you get to 100% on the project-based activity, it's going to automatically set it to gold for you, indicating completion. However, some things never get completed, right? Remember, we were talking about doing training sessions in high schools in the last training. That's never going to be completed. So you're going to set that back to green. It'll automatically set to gold going at 100%, but then you can take around and turn it back to green, yellow, or red, whatever you want to do. It's just kind of a automatic setting in there. Everything else is going to be manually set because, and this has been going on for a long, long time, this discussion as to when can you set traffic lights. And there's a few things that you've got to understand, that just because you have an activity, a project-based activity, you don't know just by what's in the activity if you can set it to a traffic light without knowing the background of it, things along that line. So that's why you're typically going to set it. What you ideally want to have is everything moving along as green. And if you have that, that just means, hey, my plan is working. I'm going to continue on doing that. And when you get yellows in there, that's kind of a flag to people. Just say, hey, there's an issue here. Take a look at the notes, see what's going on, and then move forward from there. And we had a lot of that, obviously in the last 2 years over COVID, where people weren't able to put the resources into doing whatever the plans were. So they had to go and mark them as yellow or red and keep track of them in there. And then it gives you the ability to go look at the dashboard screen, and it'll give you the number of each of the traffic lights so that you can drill down and figure out exactly where you're going. What other questions did you have on this as you were putting this in, Kate?
I don't think anything other than I have one that's set to dollars and one and I can't figure out how to get it off dollars.
Oh, okay. It was a QM activity. Let's go back. Do you know which one it was?
No.
Okay. Well, let's take a look.
I gotta find it. I'll find it. I'll find it and let you know.
Yeah. Well, let me show you where we do that here. Let me find a QM activity down here. Project-based QA. QA. Project QA, project QA, QA. Oh, okay, here's one down here on 4.1.2, the QM activity. Let's go take a look at that one. So it is under domain 4.1.2. So I'll go back up to here and go find FEP. I know you're in here. I know I'm looking right over it here. There we go. So I'm going to navigate down to domain 4, goal 1, objective 2, and then we had an activity down here, and this is a QM activity. This one doesn't appear to be set to dollars, but here's where you set that. The activity wizard here. When you open that up, you got your choice of decimal or dollars here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're counting dollars, so if I flip this over to dollars, you'll see the dollar sign. And basically is all it is indicating that's dollars versus a specific quantity in there. And then the other value down here is if you're going to enter this one time, you might select enter a total value. If you're going to enter values over time, like looks like you're attending 3 different conferences, 3 different meetings, you put a add value to add to total, and every time you do, you put in I attended 1 meeting or something along that line, and it'll count it against this target of 3. So yeah, if you have that one that is dollars, that's the trigger right there to take care of that.
Thank you. I'll stop asking questions so you can continue on with your training.
No, that's the purpose of our training today was to actually go into entering these plans. But like I say, you've already taken care of that. Heidi, how would you like to do this? I mean, she's kind of taken the bull by the horns here and done that. What would you like to walk through for everybody
Um,
else?
yeah, so I'm guessing that we are all going to be in charge of probably having our work plans entered into this like within the next couple months.
Great.
Myra can correct me if that's not her vision. All right. So I was just wondering if you could maybe even go into Kay's, because she would be able to delete it really easily. Like go into Kay's and walk us through adding something into our work plan, and for just everybody to know that you guys, we're going to be doing this on our own here in the next month or two. So you guys got to be paying attention, because really in a month or two, we want to have all of our work plans entered into this. So I was just hoping you could walk us through that one more time.
The process of actually entering a plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Kate, one of the documents you guys sent over was this domain 6. And I noticed you only went to 1 through 5. Should we add domain 6 to the FEP group? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we have, let me get to the plan here. We can take a look at it. Okay.
The domain 6 is surveillance.
So where would that be?
Well, I think you have it under groups, under surveillance, I believe.
So it doesn't fit under the FEP group with domains 1 through 5?
No, well, it's under FEP, but I think in your groups, you have it listed as a surveillance.
Oh, it can be any way you guys want it. So under here we have FEP. Let's see if I can find surveillance here.
I thought.
Disease surveillance?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's where it would be?
That's where domain 6 would be, yes.
Okay, so let's go. So let's walk through that process.
Fred.
And I'm going to ask you to guide me with the way that you want it structured in there. But we have disease surveillance we've selected. Now this is under emergency preparedness, but
I believe Myra had a question though, didn't you, Myra?
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Fred, is there a way to alphabetize those?
They are alphabetized, but they're by group. So you got a group level. So you got department level at the top. So this is the hierarchy. Underneath there, everything that reports to the department is going to show up at a group level lower here, the group level 2. Underneath that, then you'll have the group level 3 that reports up to the group level 2. So no, they're not alphabetical because they are hierarchical as the structure of your department, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I missed the first training.
Oh, well, okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, so under emergency preparedness and surveillance, we have these groups. So yeah, disease surveillance, we've selected that. When I go down to the services tab, I'm going to go over here and say, okay, so would we call this domain 6 biosurveillance? Is that what we want to call this? Okay, so I'm going to highlight that. I like using keyboard shortcuts versus mouse. It's just easier. So I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard to copy that. And I'll go back over to here. I'm going to you either hit the plus button here, or the first time it's going to give you this box because you can't add anything until you hit the plus button. So I'll hit here. Now it's just going to ask me to put in what I just did. So Control V for Victor on your keyboard will paste that right into there. And then I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now we have domain 6 biosurveillance under the group called disease surveillance. And by the way, this cookie crumb down here is kind of handy because, all the screens kind of look the same, and it's kind of like, where am I? So I can look up and say, I'm at a services screen. If I go over here under service initiative, roll my mouse over it, it says I'm at domain 6 biosurveillance. So it's just a kind of a way to keep track of where you are in there. So now underneath biosurveillance, we're going to have a set of goals. So now we're utilizing these, Kay, as the objectives when you're looking at these, or were these, because I noticed you put a goal in, I think, in between biosurveillance and the objectives. Is that right?
Yes, I did put a goal in. My goal is pretty generic because,
And it should be.
yeah, I mean,
What would you call the goal for these if we were going to make these objectives in there? What would you call? Give me an idea of what the goal would be.
to have one staff, I would say to monitor, I don't know, Melissa, monitor reportable diseases within the district, or
Okay, that's good. That's a good goal.
I just winged it,
No,
really.
that's great. Goals are typically really not very descriptive, and they're very small. So monitor, and then what you're monitoring, it's typically all there is in the goal. And we're going to save that. Now, at this level, might be a place to put in a link to, if you have something that you use as a reference for that. I noticed you had put that in, before in the plan up here at the top. So yeah, at the goal level, you put in PEP quarterly progress report BP4. So would you want to reference a report or something in here as well?
Well,
That's-
yes, it would be the same thing.
So would it be the PEP quarterly progress report for BP6 or something like that?
No, it would be for BP4, but it would be for domain 6.
Okay, let's see what we had up here. So I can just grab that and put it in there?
I would think so. Melissa, do you think so?
Yeah, and by the way, it's easy to change. We're just putting this in
Okay.
now. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click on this guy down here, the data source. I'm just going to put a description in. Now, if you had a link on your network or somewhere out there that was a report, you could put the data source link in there. And that way it'll have a little link button out here that you can just click on it and it'll open up that particular link to your data source. Is that making sense? And just know when you put a link, it's got to be a fully established URL. So it's got to have http:// or https:// in front of it, that sort of thing. So you're just having a link. And as soon as you do that, it's then going to put a little link button over here. Let me just give you an example. I'm just going to use that as an example, vmsg-dashboard.com. So I'll save that. I'm going to go ahead and save that again. So now you notice a link button over here. And when I click on the link button, it's going to take me to that website, which happens to be the VMSG dashboard website. So you can put any link in there. So it's a CDC page or, whatever it happens to be in there, if you choose to do that. We can also then just go in there. We'll take that link out of there for now. And when we save that, we don't have the link anymore. So just giving you a reference point as to where we are. Okay, now this is something that you'll see. So we just basically re-entered the same thing we entered before. There's a history record that's kept for every time you make a change on anything in here. And what we're saying is, do you want to make a duplicate history record? Let me explain why you might want to do that. In this case, we're going to say no duplicate because what we're doing is just entering the initial plan. But what a duplicate record is typically used for is if I want to go back and put historical data in. So every time I make a change, let's say I do an update to the traffic light and I make a change and I save it, it creates a history record for that particular change that I can go back and review. Those history records are also used for the traffic light on the dashboard that's used for all the graphs and charts. But sometimes you'll be implementing this program, which you are now, after you've done this for a long time. So you may be doing the same thing for years and years, and you want to go back and put in a history record so that you can show historical progress over a particular plan. Does that make sense or no? So I'm going to say no duplicate for now. Now, if I want to look at those history records, they're going to be right here. So we have 2 history records in there where we added and we updated in here. What you'll do is, let's say I wanted this was a yellow light back a year ago. So all I got to do is click on the date over here. It shows up down here. I can update this date to, let's say, 7/14/21, and then I can hit the save button, and it'll then change that the date on the history record. Where this really comes is when you get down to the activity levels where you got metrics in there, then you can go in and add our previous metrics into the system. And it's just for historical reference in the charts and the graphs and that sort of thing. Questions on that? So the history records are automatically maintained. Every time you save and it's something new, it's going to generate a history record. If you save this same thing again, it's going to ask you, do you want to create a duplicate history record? And the reason is you don't want to have duplicates in there if it's the same thing, if you're not going to use it for a historical record in there. Everybody looks confused on that one. Please ask any questions you might have. And by the way, this is something that will come in as you move down the path here. This is not a today thing. This is just kind of the history records are used to create all the charts and graphs and everything so that you know over time what you've done through this particular activity, or in this case, particular goal. Okay, so we have a goal in here. Now underneath this goal, we're going to create some objectives. So let's go back over here. I'm assuming that this would be the first objective. You think it's okay? Is that it? Okay. So I'm going to hit, again, I'm going to highlight it, hit Control C. I'm going to go back over to the dashboard. I'm going to, again, I can either hit the plus button here or the big button down here. I'll hit the plus button. It opens up my objective field here. I'm going to hit Control V. You'll notice it also, because it was a Word document, it carried over the one. So I typically just delete that. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now we have the objective in there. Who in this case would be the objective lead for this particular objective?
That's gonna be Melissa.
Hang on a second. Oh, okay. So I'm going to save that. And every time you update anything on here, you need to go in and save the record. What it's doing is basically pulling out all the fields in the record separately. You're going to update them and then you're going to save it back. So that's because it's a multi-user system. It allows people to work in there simultaneously, so you're not overwriting each other. Okay, so now we have a complete objective in this case that's led by Melissa. Now what this means on the objective lead is Melissa is the guiding light, if you will, for this particular objective, but also Melissa is going to be the person who gets the email notification to update this objective. Make sense?
So when do the email notices come in, and how are they generated?
Okay, let's look at that. Up here on the main menu, and this, if you're an org admin user, you'll see this. Otherwise, you won't see the settings. But I'm going to go up here to the main menu. Then I'm going to go down to settings down here. And up here, there's these 5 tabs. Notifications is one of them. Right now, you've got email notifications turned off. So let's say you want to set them on for, let's say once a month, week 1 of the month. So the first week of the month on Wednesday, this is what we got to set for. You can do anything you want. You can say, I want it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in week 1, or I can say I want it every week on Wednesday, last day of the month, a specific day of the month. So it might be that there's a day of the month that works, but you got to be a little careful with that, because that could obviously be on a weekend too, and it may not be as valuable. A lot of people end up doing it once a month. Sometimes as you're getting used to the system and people are learning how to use the quick update and such, you can either do every week on a specific day, weeks 1 and 3, so every other week on a specific day. So just kind of getting used to it. What are you guys thinking would be a good time for you to do your updates?
Well, personally, I like to do mine. Well, unfortunately, I like to do mine quarterly when you're talking about work plans, but I don't see that. I don't see that type of a notification.
Yeah, monthly is the longest cycle in this one.
Okay. So if it just sends me a notice, right? So if I just want to ignore the email because I know I'm going to do it next month, I just ignore the email.
Exactly. So you can go into it, and what it's going to say, these are the 3 criteria that send it out. Was it updated within the last 30 days? So that's your max cycle, but you can also turn that off. So you don't have to even worry about that. If it's behind schedule, now if you've got an activity that you set and it won't be behind schedule for a quarter and you turn this off, then it's going to generate an email quarterly for you. So that's how you can kind of get around that if you want. But this is saying, I haven't been in 30 days, so give me a notice. I have things that are behind schedule. This is at the activity level. Things that are overdue. So I've set an ending date of 7/1/22, and I get the email today. Obviously, the ending date is past. I'm not 100% complete, so I'm going to get an email notification.
And so that sends, you can set those for each activity.
No, this is overall. This is going to be set for everybody at one time, and it's going to calculate that based on the specific activity. So what it does is it looks at the activity and it says, okay, has somebody updated this in the last 30 days? Yes, they have. Okay, they don't get an email based on that. Is there something in there that's behind schedule? Remember, beginning date, ending date, % complete. It can calculate knowing that you're on schedule or not. And then the third one is overdue, meaning the ending date has gone. So, June 30th was the ending date, and we're at September 14th. So September 14th is now, we're overdue to get to, if it's not set to 100% complete. If it's set to 100% complete, then the overdue doesn't matter because it's already completed. So those are the settings. Most people, by the way, set this for a monthly cycle. And like you say, if you know that the only things you're going to be doing are quarterly settings, you can ignore the email, or you can go in there and look at it and see how things are doing, make any adjustments you need to, or just like you said, just ignore it. Okay.
Perfect.
Do you want to leave this on or off for now?
That's for Melissa?
No, this
What do
is
you want
for
to do,
everybody.
Melissa? Oh, this is for everybody. Let's shut it off until we get more.
Yeah. And what we might want to do is turn it on like on a weekly cycle. We'll do a training for everybody on using Quick Update and then set it up for a weekly cycle just so they get it and get used to it. Quick Update is very, very easy to use, but it's nice to go through a couple cycles of doing it after people get assigned to the activities. So for now, we got it turned off. Just real quickly, let me go through a couple of other things up here. Not much on here. There's a couple of graphics on here that if you want to change, typically just send them to me and I'll put them in there. But you can also clear this graphic and drag a new one onto there. If you don't like the little check marks and the little pointy thing, you don't have to do that. Admin activate partner is the default, saying that anybody can enter a partner and a partner contact, but they don't get activated until one of the administrators activates them. The reason is you might have people, let me give you a real example. Here in Arizona, we have Arizona Department of Health Services. ADHS is what everybody calls them, but their website is AZDHS. So somebody might put in Arizona Department of Health Services, somebody else puts in Arizona Department of Health Services with a different nomenclature. So what you're doing is just making sure you don't have duplicates. So that's why we have that. You can turn that off and let everybody, enter their own partners and check them out and that sort of thing if you want to. Inactivity timeout typically is set for 50 seconds or 50 minutes. Just means after 50 minutes, if you haven't done anything, the system is going to log you out. And then the default plan level, you can set this to anywhere you want. Most people set it to objectives, but when you go into a report or anything like you were seeing before, if you want the default to go to the activity level, you can set that on, and then every report automatically will go to that level when you look at it. It's just a kind of a convenience thing is all. So those are the settings. This is one other setting over here that you might run into. Some people have different, for instance, the state of North Dakota has different topics over here, or different names for what an organization would be, what a group service initiative would be. So what they wanted to do is to have the ability to, when you generate a report, instead of saying group, this might say division. Instead of saying goal, this might say step or something along that line. So what you do, if you go in and change these across all of the reports and all the plans, when you generate a report, it's going, instead of saying organization Southwest Nebraska, it's going to say, whatever you call it, department Southwest Nebraska or something along that line. So that's just synonyms, and all it does is basically change them into reports if you choose to do that. And again, you can turn that on and off anytime you want to up there. Okay, so that was the how we turn on the real-time notifications in there. Let's go back to our objective level here. So we put this objective in. Now let's go back to here. And let's grab the second objective. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that as well. And again, Control C on my keyboard, tab back over here. Okay, now I'm going to go down and hit the plus button again. Go down into here, hit Control V, and I'll go ahead and take out the 2 again. Save that. Melissa again on this one. Okay. Save. Okay. I don't think we actually have any activities on the document here.
And so can you just make up an activity and add it? Because that's where you set your parameters, right?
Yeah, well, there's parameters at the objective level and the activity level, but yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's see, at least one surveillance staff must maintain access proficiency in Nebraska electronic disease surveillance system. So I'll let you guys help me to make this up. So we're going to go to this first objective. Now, your percent complete on this particular objective down here, you can say if you have one staff doing what they're supposed to be doing here, you go down here and mark this as 100%. Now, the other thing you can do, some objectives you're looking for, meeting a quantity. Remember we did the tobacco thing, 9 training sessions a month. You can go down here and click on this and change what that title says in there. And then here's another way you can go in and say, I'm going to measure a percent or I'm going to measure a decimal number. So sometimes at the objective level, you're counting 9 training sessions that we're going to do in here. So you can put a, where it says objective percent done, you can put training sessions completed, measurement units shows up over here. You can call that trainings or something along that line. And then it's just going to put the value in there as either a decimal or a percent. So you can change what that says down there, and then that'll change how it appears on the report, et cetera.
How did you get that pop up again?
Just click on the little title down here where it says objective percent done.
Oh, all right, thanks.
It's hidden, so you couldn't find it.
I looked all over for that.
Now you know, that's why we're here.
It was too easy.
Yeah, that's what I always tell the guys when I'm playing tennis. I can always hit the hard shots. It's the easy one that I hit into the net, Same thing. Okay, so now we've got, let's see what else we have on here. Oh, document management. I don't know if you got into any of that or not, but you may have in a lot of these different things at any level, you might have some documents that you're going to attach, like maybe the notes from the meeting that we had or something like that. To attach a document, I'm going to go ahead and just attach one onto here, and then we'll just get rid of it. But click on the document management button, and you guys saw that every screen has got this little document management button on here. So I'm going to click on that. Again, I'm going to go down here and add a document. It's going to say you want to choose a file, so I'm going to pick a file here. And I've got let's see, got a little test directory here of things. And I'm going to call it USA Public Health Abstracts Auto. So I'll open that up. So now I have the file chosen. I'm going to say upload it. So what you're doing now is taking that file from wherever you grabbed it off your network or your hard drive, and you're going to upload it to our server. So now that file is uploaded to the server. We're going to call this test file 1. Traffic lights. When you're using files, here's what the norm is, and you can use them for anything you want. But typically, if you're putting a draft in, and remember, I'll show you that in a second, that the document management does automatic version control for you. So if I put this same file name up, I'll do that for you in a second here. It'll create a new version of that file and keep both versions on there. So as you're going through different versions, you might leave this as a yellow, indicating that it's draft. Down here, I can say this is draft 1, keep it as draft. Depending on what you're doing with these files, let's use the example of accreditation. What a lot of departments do, and this is where the document management is really used heavily because you have so many documents you got to track. If I'm going to get all the files ready, I have a expiration date of the file down here, and remember all the accreditation documents have an expiration date. So I can put that date in there, and I can say this is draft 1 of this file, and when I save it, I'm going to go ahead and save it here. So I've saved test file 1 up there. What you're going to be doing as you go through the traffic lights is typically when it's ready to be, let's use FAB as an example. When it's ready to be submitted up for accreditation, you might mark it as green, meaning you as a department are ready to do that. Typically the gold bar then would indicate that it's been submitted. So you can download it from here and you shove it up into FAB so you can look at them. On the main menu, there's a menu of all the documents in the system that you can review. And maybe you go down there and look and see a couple of green ones, say, why haven't we submitted those yet? You can go look at them, look at the activity and figure that out. So it just kind of helps to define that. So I was going to show you the version. So we have version 1 up here. I'm going to go ahead and add the same file again. So what I've done, let's say a week later, I updated the same file. And it was this one up here. So I'm going to open that, upload it. So I'm going to say test file 1, and I'm going to call it draft 2, and I'm going to leave it as yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now you'll notice that it's still just got 1 file up here, but it's version 2. So it's always going to show you the latest version of that file unless you click this little checkbox up here. Up there, now you got test file 1 twice, got version number up here. So it's automatically maintaining version control for you, so you can always go back and download a file. Maybe you lost it on your hard drive, whatever it is, it's always going to be there for you. I'll just go ahead and leave those in there for now. When you get ready, you can just go in and clear them out just using the delete button here. Okay, take a little arrow, go back to our objective here. So that's document management. This is the little flag, by the way, that if I want this to appear on my login dashboard screen. So when you go to the actual dashboard screen, this little flag is the one that puts it, remember in the top right corner it says my priorities? That's what those are. And that's how they show up in there. And all I can do is if you take it off there, you just click it again, it'll turn gray and it doesn't show up on my priorities. Okay. Okay. Now down to activities. So based on this, Kay, can you come up with some kind of an activity for this? Just something random. I don't care what it is.
Melissa will have an ice cream party for the entire staff.
Oh,
That's it.
Yeah. Can I come too? I love ice cream.
With root beer.
Well, why don't we, yeah, okay, let's just do that. Melissa will have.
I hope the state never sees this, or they're going to think you've lost your mind, Melissa.
Okay, so we're going to call this, we have the different types of activities. Since we're just doing this one time, it's going to be kind of an on and off. I think project-based is probably the right type of activity here. Now, performance metric says, how do we know when that happened?
Maybe that was a bad example.
No, good example, good example.
Our
Can't you
stomachs
say-
were satisfied.
You could say that the party has happened or something along that line. Ice cream. So
I like Mara's when we're all satisfied.
But are you ever satisfied with ice cream, especially Haagen-Dazs?
You could not have too much now.
Okay, so I'm going to set the start date as today, and we're going to say that she's going to have to do that by the end of the month here, end of July. And right now we're 0% complete because we haven't done anything with that yet, right? Okay. And your note in here would be, as you're moving along and said, hey, we had to move the date on the party or whatever it happens to be, anything that's changing in there. But for now, because we haven't had the party yet, we're going to have it sometime between now and then. We can leave this as green. Now, if we come back and say, hey, COVID variant BP5, whatever they're calling a new one in here, comes in here, we may have to change the party because apparently ice cream's bad for you if you got COVID, whatever it happens to be in there, you might put a note in. But by the way, ice cream is never bad for you, so don't worry about that. I go
So
to
you're
Haagen-Dazs every night. I love my Haagen-Dazs.
so your stoplight doesn't change automatically?
Well, only in this case. Let me do this.
Oh, you have to manually put in the percentage then.
Yeah, you got to put in the value because nobody would know that, right? Until the party happens,
Okay.
then you can put in 100%. And you notice then it turned to gold up here. So when I
Okay.
save it, we're going to say that that's gold in there. So
Okay.
that is the project-based activity. Now we're going to again blame Melissa. So when you open this up, what you're looking at initially is this particular group. So in your case, there's nobody assigned to the group disease surveillance. So I'm going to want to look at everybody in the department. I can either pick a specific group with this drop down, but most often what I do is click the little black X here, and then it just opens up to the whole department. So then we're going to go down and say, Melissa is the team lead and the team member on this. And we're going to say Myra is a team member on here. So Melissa is the one who's going to get that email notification for this particular activity.
So can you show us again how you got to this screen?
Yeah,
Fred, sorry,
sure.
I missed it.
Let me go back here. This little guy right here. So next.
Okay. Gotcha.
Lead team activity team. Okay. I'm going to click on that. And then up here, I'm going to go to the little black X. And then I'm going to pick Melissa. When I click team lead, it says obviously she's a team member. And by default, she's going to be the email notification. You can flip that around if you want to, but this is the default and probably where most people will use it. And then over here, I can say I want to add people to the team. So I'm going to add Heidi and Myra to the team over here. So what we're saying with the team is just the other people who are involved in making the ice cream party happen in here. If you wanted to, over here, you can put in a, how much time is it going to take? I don't think we ought to allocate FTE time for an ice cream party in front of everybody here. So we'll kind of leave that blank here for now. But you can put in like a 0.1 FTE saying it's going to take 10% of our time to, coordinate this party or something along that line. And that is the time within the activity time frame. So we had an activity time frame of about 2 weeks, it looked like. So within that time frame, it's going to take about 10% of our time or whatever it happens to be in there. And then, you can roll that up. But for now, this is kind of typically a future use thing. Where this comes in handy is I've got this new project, we've got a grant, and I want to kind of know how much people time and people money we're going to put in that. So you can go in here and say, yeah, I think it's going to take 20% of Melissa's time and maybe 10% of Myra's time and 10% of Heidi's time in there. And that'll allow you to kind of add up the FTEs and maybe use that as a justification.
So these are the same email notifications that we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Yeah.
So we can assign the entire, like if we needed the entire team, like if we had a hard deadline, we could assign every one of those team members an email notification. So somebody, so we didn't drop, like if it was important, we could have everybody getting those email notifications.
Yeah. Now there's a catch to that. Yes, everybody can get the email notification, but the only person who's going to be able to go through the quick update system to update it is that team lead.
Okay.
Everybody will get the notification, but it won't show up on because when you go to the quick update, it says you have 6 activities. That's the ones you're the lead on.
Okay, got it.
That's the difference in there. But yeah, they can get the notification. They can go into this screen and update it if they choose to do that. Okay, so that's the project-based activity. Oh, the other one down here, you guys, I don't think have any partners in there yet. So there's a partner database. It's off the main menu. It's real simple to go in. The same thing, you hit the add button, put in all the information about the partner. For each partner, you can put in a set of contacts in there. And then what you'll do is select the partner organization and the particular contact, or just the partner organization to attach to the activity. So you can have external partners as well as your folks in the department in here. So I'll go ahead and save that, no duplicate. So that's the project-based activity.
Before we move off of project-based activity, I have a question.
Yes.
So I see that you have 100% in there, but if you hit that little wizard dude, yeah. So when I did my project-based activity, it said I could pick yes or no.
Yep.
Okay, so if I picked yes or no and then saved it, if I clicked yes, would it flip it to a gold bar as well?
Yes, it would. It makes it 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, the yes, no, and complete are 100%. This is just saying if you're not measuring something incrementally, you're just saying yes or no, or it's complete or not complete. That's what that's in there for.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And thanks for bringing that up. I forgot to, this is something that's fairly new, is having the wizard for the project-based activity, but we'll just say yes or no, we'll save that. So now what we're saying is, instead of, okay, we had the ice cream party was held, yes. So that makes it easy for that particular activity. And then that one's complete. In this case, it would be a gold bar. And when you get a gold bar, by the way, that takes this out of the cycle for the email notifications because it's already complete. If you want that email to be continually going out for this activity, mark it back to green or yellow or red, whatever you want to do with it. Let's go ahead and add another activity that's another type, the quantitative measurement activity. So I'm going to go here and hit plus again. And I'm going to say, give me something that's quantity based. How about we just say hold 3 meetings on this subject or something? Let's make it 5.
And mine that I have a problem with the dollar signs is a quantitative base, or I'm sorry, quality assurance.
QA activity doesn't typically have a dollar sign on it. I don't.
Mine does.
Does it really? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll look at that later.
Yeah,
we'll look at that
later. I think you magically got around it somehow. We'll figure that out. So hold 5 meetings on this subject is our activity, and I'm going to go down and select quantitative measurement. So it pops open the wizard automatically, and we'll go ahead and put in the from today through let's call it August 13th. So we'll make it 1 month here. Our target number is 5 meetings, and again, decimal or dollars. We're going to call it decimal, and we'll call it meetings held. And we're going to say enter a new value to add a total, which will allow us to put in, every time we have a meeting, we'll put in a 1 for that meeting. I'll save that. Now you notice on the QM activity, it automatically builds the performance metric. So we'll be successful in doing this once we've had 5 meetings between 7/14 and 8/13/22. And you can see it puts the dates in there for you down here. Again, you can assign the team, just like we did before, assign the team members and everything. Now, a couple of things on this wizard. There is the capability to just monitor quantities. So let me give you an example, and actually where this came from. Health Department in Ohio has plumbing inspections as part of public health, which I've never heard before. You guys don't have plumbing inspections, do you? No, yeah. I don't know where that came from in public health. But they don't have a target of to how many they're going to do each month. They just have a response time that says, within 5 days, getting a request, we're going to do a plumbing inspection. But they do want to know how many inspections they've done over the month. So you can take this target down to 0. And now you notice the percent is gone because there's no denominator to calculate. So is all you're doing in this case is just calculating the number of plumbing inspections that you've done. So at the end of the month, you can go look and say, hey, we've done 22 plumbing inspections, but there's no target to do it against in here. So that's what that little guy's all about. We're going to put that back in as 5. Save it. Okay, so then the third type of activity we call a QA activity, or quality assurance activity, and that's a repetitive activity. So let's go ahead and add a new one of those here. We'll call it 5. Hold 5 meetings per month. Okay, so I'm going to call that a QA activity. And when you hit the drop down, it automatically pops open the wizard for you. So in this case, we're going to say we're holding 5 meetings per month. So I'm going to set the frequency here, which can be anywhere between weekly and every 5 years, which I don't think anybody uses. We're going to say monthly. And we're going to say if we're at 5 or greater, it's going to be green. And we'll say if we do below 3, let's say it'll be red. And we'll call this meetings held. And I'll save that. So now what's going to happen is we're to hold 5 meetings a month. We'll say meetings held measured monthly. If we do greater than or equal to 5, it's green. Less than or equal to 3, it's red. And anything in between is yellow. I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. And again, the team members and the partners are the same on all of them here. Now you notice you just have the start date in here. So I'm going to go ahead and say we did, what did we have in there between 3 and 5? So let's say we'll do 4. Now you notice it turned the traffic light green, which it shouldn't have. Hang on a second here. Of course, when I'm showing you this, it doesn't work right.
Well, it's red up top. Does that mean anything?
Oh, no, I just haven't saved it yet. So let me set this for 5 here. Okay, now this is on a QA activity. Remember, it's repetitive, so it's going on every month. If I'm updating this at the end of the month, I might want to go ahead and say, yeah, let's go ahead and update the cycle date. So I can either say use today, the current date, as the beginning of the next cycle, or I can select the date in here, or I can say, no, I'm not going to update the date. So because we're doing it mid-cycle, I'm going to say, no, we're not going to update the date. So now let me go down here and see if that is 3. Yeah, so below 3 and equal to or less than 3. Go to 4, it should turn yellow. I don't quite. Okay, I'm not sure what was going on, but so this automatically gets set based on the number that you have in here. It also does, over the period of time that you've set, it's adding up the total number. So remember, we had 1 in there, and then we had 4 in there. If I save that, I'll say no. So now we have 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. So anyhow, what it's doing is keeping the total quantity of meetings. So meetings held per month is 4, but total over the 2 months or whatever it has, it's been 9 in there. So those are 3 different types of activities. Just to give you an idea, the most common one is the project-based activity. People use this most often. It's typically 80, 85% of what you have in there. The use for the QA activity is repetitive things. So things you're going to do weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it happens to be. And then the QM activity, again, is either measuring decimal items, so quantities of something, meetings or vaccinations or whatever it is, or if you're wanting to go in here and say, we're allocating $5,000 to this particular project or something like that, then you can go in there and add or subtract the dollars in there as you're updating the particular activity. So got a lot of different choices on that. So that's the what we went through is the entire process of entering a piece of a plan all the way down to the activity level in here. Are there any questions, anything that doesn't make sense in here that I can answer questions for?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Joy.
No, that's okay. So after we've got the plan in there, and then when we go in to update it, where do we add, like when we held one of the meetings? Could you show us that?
Okay. Well, first of all, you can go to this screen right here. So we hold 5 meetings on this subject. You can go down here and say we just held 1. And it's going to say, okay, 1, and it's 20% of the way there. I can save that. So on that particular activity, actually either of them, you can do that. Now, there's also the quick update screens. I can log out and log back in as a different user and show you the quick update screens. The easier way to do it. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you, Joy, if you were assigned, well, let's make that happen here. So Joy, you are the lead and the email notification now on this particular activity. So you would be getting an email on, whatever basis we set up, like once a month or something along that line. You're going to get an email for this particular activity. I'm going to log in as a different user so I can actually show you the quick update screen here. Oh, by the way, when you log out, you go to the dashboard screen. Just go to the upper right corner up here to log back in. Is everybody, did I go through the process of actually getting your user ID and password? Has everybody actually been in the system? And hit the send button, put in your email address, hit send again. It'll send you your login credentials. Go back into here, put them in, username or email, either one, your password, hit login. So I'm going to go ahead and change this one. Another login, and I'm going to hit login. Now, because I've been assigned as an activity or objective lead, I get this dialog. So I want to go to either quick update, main menu is where we've been working. Quick update is going to the quick update screens to do my updates. And this is me on a demo system here. So this is the activity quick update screen. So if you were just updating that one we had and it said, holding 5 meetings a month or whatever it happens to be, you can go down here and put the value right in here. If you want to change the traffic light, you can do that based on information that you probably put in here that, COVID has reared its ugly head and we don't have time to do these meetings or whatever it is. You can see this one's always already set up as a dollar value in here. So 75% of stores receiving routine health. Maybe it's a demo thing. Okay, so the only 3 fields you can update in here are the data value, number of meetings, maybe you added 1 meeting to it, the activity notes, so maybe describing the meeting, who was there, whatever you want to put in there. And if you're on track, you might maintain the traffic light as a green, mark it as a yellow, put a note in there as to why. You can also down here put that data source in that we were talking about earlier. So I can go in here and say I can put in the data source and a link if I want to in there, add it to there. I'm going to go to my next one here. So my next activity, and here's the activities I'm working on, number 2 of 20. So I apparently have 20 activities assigned to me. Again, I can go through and put in the values, hit the next one, the next one, the next one. When I get done with this particular, go ahead.
Fred.
Yes.
Fred, this is Myra again. So when I go on that quick update, it will take me to everything I've been assigned, even if I'm not the lead?
No, only the ones that you've been assigned as the lead to, either objective lead or activity lead.
Okay.
But you can always go in and just go override it, go to the main menu here. So let's say we're done and I want to go in and look at something in particular. I can then go to my main menu and I can navigate myself back down to where I was. So I can go down and say, that was our plumbing example. So I can migrate back down through the plumbing example and get down to the activity and do the update here. So you can manually override the quick update. Anybody who's been given that permission to do that.
And can I look at this and see everybody I've assigned something to see where they're at on something?
Yes, and that's okay.
And if I'm skipping ahead, tell me to just wait.
No, that was a quick update. I just want to show you so there's 2 quick update screens. You go through your activities. If you've been assigned as an objective lead, when you're done with the activities, it'll ask you that. You could say objective, then it'll take you to a similar screen. And then the objective is kind of in the middle, but it's still got 3 fields. It's got the data value, traffic light, and the notes field update. And just cycle through those and you're done. But to get back to your other question, let me take you back to my other login here. This is just a limited login as an actual user here.
So do I have different levels of users set up for Southwest?
Well, we can look at that.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, you do. I mean, there's levels of users all the way from org admin, which several of you are, all the way down to normal users. And then there's actually some things called read-only users and such. So let's go down and find you guys. Southwest Nebraska. Okay, so let's go look at the FAB plan we were working on. Keep losing it down here. Oh, FEP plan, I'm sorry. FAB. Okay, to find out exactly what's going on in that entire plan, I typically go up to the reports menu up here, the blue one, and use the operational plan report. When I click on that, it's going to take it a few seconds to go in and put it all together. So I can look at the operational plan report. In this case, I'm looking just at the objective level. I didn't get down to the activity level. I can now go up here and say, okay, I want to look all the way down at the activity. I can look at just the services. So if I do that, you're going to see just the domains down here, 1 through 5. And I can go all the way down to the activities. But yes, what you'll be able to see is exactly what's going on with each person. So you got, K is the activity team lead. You can look at the status of that particular activity. Look at everything in here. Does that make sense?
Fran, I have a question. On that quick update, you were able to put in the activity notes. Is that what comes in on that those blue writings on the quick update is the same as the note comment on the activity level?
Yep, it's this right here. So it'll show up in blue on the reports. But yeah, that is the notes field.
It's the same thing. Okay, thank you.
And by the way, if you were to have let me go back because we actually did attachments on documents. So let me go back to disease surveillance and generate the report there. It'll be small. And let's go to the activity level. Okay. Oh, no wonder. This button up here, documents. I click on that. It's going to show me where remember we attached those documents up there. So we got the one document. We got multiple versions of it, but we have the one document we attached. So it shows up in green, and it shows that it's attached to the objective. If it's down here below, it'll show that it's attached to the activity, or up. You can attach them anywhere you want to. So that's the document. But this is kind of the gospel, if you will. This is everything that you want to know: the status of it, who's doing it, and by the way, the L over here indicates lead. Anybody else in there would be a team member, and then the percent complete over here. Who's doing what in there? So this is the in-depth report, if you will, everything that's in there. Is that what you're looking for? Yeah, and by the way, from a reports point of view, the operational plan report is 90% of the time you're going to use. There's also a team lead report that you might want to use. And this is how is a specific person doing? So if I click on that, again, I can go in here and say, I want to see all groups. And I want to look at, let's see, we just assigned Melissa to some stuff here. So I want to see any objectives that Melissa was assigned to. I can either do it in a report format or just on a screen format. Let's look at the screen here. So these are the two objectives that we assigned her to. So this is just specifically Melissa that we're looking at here. I can look at the activity she's been assigned to as well. I can look at it in a report format if I want to. Again, you can see that we have the two documents attached down here. So that is the team lead report.
So, and Fred, I'm sorry, I might have missed this. So if Myra is wanting to see one staff member, so she wants to see Heidi Wheeler and all of my programs and what activity I am doing or where I'm at with each one of my programs, there's a way for her to be able to sort by each staff member?
Well, yeah, you go here into the team lead report and you'll say, I want to do Heidi. And then I'm going to go down here and say, I want to look at all the activities Heidi's been assigned to down here. And let's look at it in the report this time. So, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go up here. Select a group. Team lead. Heidi, activities. So there we go. Yeah. So what we're looking at there is just specifically, it says a team leader or team member. I can say, I want to see where you're either a leader or a member or just a team lead on an activity or just a team member on an activity. But in this case, these are the ones. So you're a team member on this particular activity. You're a team lead on these. So you can look at either one in there.
Awesome.
That good?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So what we did is we went through the plan entry process here. That's really basically a copying and pasting. So if you've got a pretty nice document like you guys do, and you're going to have to go through in some cases and do like Kay did and kind of interpret, okay, what would be the goal in here, because these look kind of more like objectives in there. So putting a goal, goals are again very simple: action, verb followed by a few words, just like we put in there. So it's going to be monitor reportable diseases in the district. That's an excellent goal. We get down to the activity or the objective level, it's going to be more specific. And typically objectives are built within a time frame as well. So you can say by the end of the fiscal year, we're going to have at least one surveillance staff maintain access, or whatever that particular objective happens to be in there. So as you're, and I would recommend, if you're going to be developing plans, let's say you don't have a plan for a particular division or program or something, and you want to develop one, there's a training module on that that's really pretty darn good. And that's the operational plan development training module. It walks you through the entire process. And the other thing it does is give you real live examples from public health of what does a service look like? And it gives you a dozen examples of services, of goals, objectives, and activities. So it just kind of lets you go through and kind of visualize what my plan might look like. And it really seems to help people to work through that. There's also down here in this implementation guidelines document that you can open up, there's a template, a Word document template that you can look at, that if you want to start, developing your plan in a Word document, then copying and pasting in the system, you can use that. So it's just, some people prefer doing that versus going directly into the system. So that's in there as well. So that was the operational planning process. What I would like to do is for you guys to go away, and if you have existing plans, if you want me to get them started for you, please feel free to send them my way. I'll be happy to go in and structure them in there for you. Just tell me where you want them. If you want to take a shot at putting them in like Kay went through and did everything, please feel free to go in and do that. And then let's set up another one of these sessions and actually kind of walk through them and see how they look.
I feel like we should all try to do our own just so we get used to the system. Myra, what do you want for a due date on this? Like mid-August or?
Yeah, that works. We could take a month.
So maybe, Fred, we'll take a month and we'll work on this, and we'll try to have all of our plans in there by mid-August, and then maybe we can connect with you to ask, like, if we get stuck on something, that'd give us like time. Or should we maybe meet with him the 1st of August, so we've got questions, we can get it done by mid-August? Or
well, I'll tell you, why don't we set a date if anybody's got calendars that you can look at, set a date in mid-August as the kind of the deadline and the meeting that we'll have. And then if we have questions that come up in between, we'll schedule another one in between.
okay.
But if we do that, then at least we know we're on the schedule to get back at doing it here. So give me an idea of what would work for you guys. August is pretty open for us.
What about gosh, the week of the 15th looks pretty busy. What about the 23rd?
Let's take a look here. Oh, I'm in July. I guess that won't work. 23rd would be great. Can we do it in the afternoon?
Yes, we are available anytime other than from 2 to 3 Central Time.
Okay, so we could do 3 o'clock your time, which would be 1 o'clock my time. Is that right? What time is it there now? It's 1:40.
It's Central, so it's 3:40 now.
Oh, okay, so we're 2 hours difference. Okay, so can we schedule for 3 o'clock your time then?
3 o'clock. I think, anybody see any reasons why that wouldn't work?
Or 3:30, give you time to get out of your other meeting, maybe?
3:30? Okay, let's. Kay, do you think your meeting will run over? That meeting at 2 is yours. You think that'll run over? Do you prefer 3 or 3:30?
What meeting on the
23rd of August is your CQI meeting.
No, it won't. We'll make it happen. It won't run over.
All right, so let's do 3.
Okay.
Fred, is that okay with you?
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, I will send out a meeting invitation to all of you. And then, please, if you get it, accept the meeting invitation or whatever works for you. And we'll set that up and by the way, this can be flexible, but let's get everybody moving forward on it. If there's significant questions in between, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, and I can probably answer any questions that you have along the way, or pop over to GoToMeeting and work with you on the way. But let's set that as a date so that we know that we're going to the next step. And that's going to basically be the review of each of your plan. And if you could take a note to send me in advance where your plan is in the system, what the plan is, what you have in there, so I can go look at it in advance so we can kind of get through those pretty quickly.
Perfect. So our goal is, just to recap, our goal for staff is to have our plans in that system by August 23rd and to send Fred a notice when it's in there. Like if we're following a work plan, do you want us to send that work plan and
Sure.
with it? Okay.
Yeah, and it's particularly if you can send it the way you structured it in the system, or if you're developing a plan, just let me know where it is. I can generate a report on it real quickly. But if you have something already, yeah, send it along with it. And we'll just kind of go through and do a review and say, okay, maybe here's the next steps. Once we get the plans in the system, then we can talk about the, let's turn on the quick updates, get those things going out there. Let's talk about the other tools out there, the different dashboards and things. And, what are the next steps that we're going to do to really get this thing embedded in the organization?
Awesome. Is that timeline okay, Myra? Is that August 23rd? Okay, super. We've got a plan.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Kay, great job on getting that plan in there. I really do appreciate it.
I have one question, Fred, before you jump off. Could you please look at the FEP plan?
Uh-huh.
I found the dollar signs. I can't fix it.
Okay, let me go look here. Point me where
It's on domain 1.
Okay.
Objective 3.
Objective
Activity 2.
3, activity 2.
See, it's a quality assurance and it has dollar signs in there.
You're exactly right, and I have no idea why, but let me dig into that and figure out what's going
Okay.
on. Hang on a second.
I can't find the decimal or dollars little thingy on the little wizard.
There's not. Did you perhaps maybe convert this from a QM activity and it held over or something?
I could have.
Okay, maybe that's what it. So that's an issue. I mean, that's something that we can go in and fix here, but that potentially is how that happened, because there shouldn't be any other way for it to do that.
Okay. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't do anything wrong.
No,
Of course, Kay would break it.
Hang on a second. It's
Nice, Kay.
Can we look at the history and see if it was me that caused it?
1.3.2. Let's take a look and see what's in the history here.
And of course, we're doing this in front of all my peers. That's really.
Well, I think if everybody else has other stuff to do, I think we're pretty much done. So you guys can jump off if you've got other things to do.
Thank you.
QA.
Oh yeah, see, look.
Originally project based, and then it's QA. So I don't know how that happened, but I'll dig into it and let you know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Fred.
Bye-bye.
Bye.